Jaden, there he
Hey.
is. Jake, what's up,
Jake?
baby?
Hey, sorry guys, I just got done with a workout real quick. Kenny, I
Oh,
don't know if you
yeah.
heard. I don't know if you heard about it. It's a new workout fab, Kenny. It's the Damian Barling Fit 45.
Oh,
I did the difference
like
for me
Sean
though
T.
is, yeah, exactly. The difference with me is I like to do it around noon, and the person who runs the program usually does it around 5 or 6 a.m. Can't get up that early, unfortunately, but instead I'll just do it at noon.
But you got the video, though. You got the
Oh,
video. Well, he's
hey,
at the local high school with 10 other people around him. And what
What
was
is
that?
going on right now?
That's the Damian Barling workout plan.
yes, exactly. Damian Barling
Once again, the new Sean
FNF.
T.
Yes.
What was that? P90X? What's yours going to be called? Rich. That's what it's going to be called.
No, just let me know when you two are done. Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor over here. It's great. Everybody's got jokes today. Jake, you were at the media watch party last night.
I was.
What did you think? I mean, did you read the tea leaves? Did you have a feeling that the Kings were getting in on the action last night? And when they did, what did you think of the pick?
So for me, from everything I was being told, which kind of lines up for how the kind of draft shook out, was that Brooklyn pick was the pick that the Kings were targeting maybe even a week ago, possibly sending 2 second-round picks, the second-round pick this past year, and a future second-round pick, or second-round pick this year, and a future second-round pick, and pick up that late first from Brooklyn. But they saw their guy, and as Scott Perry put it, he was opportunistic and moved up and got OKC. I liked the move to go get with OKC. He has a history with Scott Presti, with Presti, the GM of OKC. Yeah, thank you. But all the tea leaves and everything that I was being told was that Brooklyn pick, those back-to-back Brooklyn picks at the late end of the draft was what the Kings were targeting. But they could move up as early as 19 if they saw someone that they really, really wanted. I think one of the guys that they really wanted went to 18, and then the other guy started to fall. And when he fell into one of the conversations that they had previous to the draft with OKC and Brooklyn, they went with the OKC one, and here we are. We have Nique Clifford, a Sacramento King.
Let me ask you this real quick before we dive into Nique, because I know you're familiar with him and his game. But do you feel that they were going to get back into that first round regardless, or was it specific to certain players that they like? So if there was, I know for a fact a couple of guys that they were targeting came off the board a little earlier, and the full transparency, Nique was like one of the last guys they had really looked at and wanted. If Nique had gone earlier and they didn't have any of those guys, would they have just stayed put and not gone into the first round?
No, you're on point with that, Casey. I think there was a list of guys that they had graded as a top prospect or a lottery prospect that they really liked, had high grades on. Nique Clifford was quite honestly the last one on that list that they were really interested in. And I turned to James Ham, our good friend Hammer, and said, like, hey, there's only one guy left there. And if he's there, they're going to go grab him. So that's what happened. I don't think if Nique came off the board earlier, especially at 20, or he was even projected to go between 15 and 20, I don't think they would have gone back into the first round. They would have been perfectly fine not having a first round pick and kind of gone into day two trying to reevaluate where they could work. But if their guy was there, they were going to get him, and Nique Clifford was one of those guys.
Well, okay, so man, I want to jump ahead to a few things and try to stop here and just ask, what do you think of Nique Clifford? Like in terms of what the Sacramento Kings look like right now, what did you think of that acquisition?
So as Casey alluded to, like, I have a really great relationship with Nique. I have covered Nique since he was 16 years old at Vanguard High School in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Like, I know this kid, his mom, Angel, since he was before puberty. Like, I'm talking before he had the growth spurt, fam. Like, this kid has always been a very top hate-rated prospect coming out of Colorado. He was a 3-star, almost a 4-star guy. Played at a very, very small school in Colorado Springs. It was a charter school. It's a 3A school, so Colorado has 5A through 1A. It's a 3A school, but think about the 5A schools are comparable to like a Grant here or an Intercom here in California. Graduating class of maybe 100 kids, 400 kids total in the school. So very small community. His competition wasn't great at the high school level, but he didn't decide to play on the AAU circuit. Colorado didn't have a great AAU circuit in general. But when he played and when he played up to competition, especially some of the best in Colorado, he always performed well. Always had the length, always had the athleticism, developed his shot, especially his junior and senior year of high school. Committed early to Colorado, liked the idea of staying and being a hometown guy and playing for Tad Boyle at CU. Of course, the COVID pandemic had a lot to do with his development. People say that, he thought he was going to be a one and done guy at CU and be in Boulder for 1 year. And unfortunately, with COVID, that just didn't work out. I also don't think he was great in Tad's system. I think the CU system wasn't good. Hopefully, I didn't lose you guys. You still have me?
We got you.
Yep.
You're cooking.
Okay. Sorry. The CU fit, I don't think was great for him. I think that he couldn't carve out a role with Tad Boyle. And because of that, that's why he left to go to CSU to play for Nique Medved and play for the Rams. Could have came out last year, had a second round grade, instead went back to school, and then, of course, had a spectacular, quote unquote, super senior year at CSU, leading them to the NCAA tournament. Some things I want people to know about him. Averaged a double-double in high school, which is really not that hard. Led his team to a state championship. Was a Colorado Gatorade Player of the Year for the state of Colorado when they had a couple kids that came out of Colorado that year. One, it was Regis Jesuit, that was a 4-star kid that went to CU. And then another kid, I'm blanking his name, the same school that Christian McCaffrey went over to UCLA. So, this kid is the definition of someone you want on your team that is a team first mentality, glue guy, flashy when you need him, hard worker, scrappy. Like, people are making the Doug Christie comp a lot lately with him. I like that comp. The better comp for me is Josh Hart. Like, I think that is really kind of spot on for what you're looking at in terms of a bigger guard, a small forward, has no problem going in there and getting the rebound. Great effort in terms of taking it to the 10. Still can work on his shot, but still has his splits are been good, especially last year at CSU when it comes to field goal percentage and for behind the arc. If the Kings fans think this is a guy that is going to be a starter in 5 years or 4 years, you can throw that out the window. This is a guy that will be the 6th, 7th, or 8th man on your bench that will come in, give you solid minutes. There won't be a drop-off, can have good games, but he will not be someone that takes over. But that's what the Kings need, though. They need more of this. They need more of depth at this position. Guys that can come in and help Keegan Murray when he gets in foul trouble or tired. Guys that can play along Keon Ellis that come off the bench where Keon's not the only main defensive guy on this team. Personally, not only do I like the pick, but I like how Scott Perry went about the pick, said, hey, I want to go back into the first round if there's a guy there that we got to get. And he uses the right pick, I believe, to get back into that first round of the 2027 top 16 protected pick, which will probably turn into 2 second-round picks, which was what you were going to pay to the Nets if you were going to go get that pick later in the first round. So for me, the grade for me is an A pick. I really like him. I think Nique is a great kid in general. Your Kings fans are going to love him because he plays hard. He's a good person, loves being in the community. And for me, like I said, full circle moment, to watch a kid's progression from 16 years old to now being at the professional level, I can't wait to see him tomorrow at the introductory press conference and just be like, dude, look where we're at now, bro. We made it. We made it.
Look at us. Look at us. Like that Hot Ones gif.
Yeah.
That they use. Do you think he's a guy that day one can be part of the rotation, or does he need to develop his game a little bit?
No, plug and play. I think about it this way. If the Kings lose out on Jake LaRavia, I think this is a guy that's perfect to take over that LaRavia position. I would like to keep LaRavia because I think he plays more of the small forward, power forward position. But yeah, Nique's going to get minutes right off the bat. I think this is a guy that, because he's 23 years old, because he's played 5 years in college basketball, The speed of the game is something that I have a question on. Is it going to be too fast for him early on? But I do believe IQ-wise, he will be ready to go come opening night at the Golden One Center.
I like that. I like that.
So, Jake, the question is, what now? Obviously, we know they have a selection tonight, but there's rumblings, there's murmurs, there's articles, there's talk, there's podcasts, there's D'Lo and KC, there's Jake Gadon, there's other stuff out there. What do you think happens next for this team over the not just tonight, but really over the next 4 or 5 days or so?
So I think they're going to stick with that 42nd pick, and I still think they're going to take someone. Think of length. I think they take someone, a flyer on the wall type of guy that provides them length, maybe a small forward or power forward, just a depth piece that they don't have expectations for. That will probably play in a G League, a little bit of a development type of guy. We saw a bunch of them come in for workouts this past month or two. I think they'll take a flyer on a wall and a guy like that. What happens next for the Kings is really interesting. So, of course, you guys referenced our good friend Sam Amick's article. All right, we can ding him again for being mentioned on the show once again today. That the Kings have a logjam at that guard position. What does that mean? Well, I think Kings fans really need to come to the realization that Malik Monk could not be on this team next year. I think they also need to come to a possibility that Zach LaVine may not be on this team next year. The difference is this. Monk's contract and Monk's availability is much easier to move than LaVine. There are people that are interested in Malik Monk more than Zach LaVine out there. I think it's been widely reported that Toronto really loves Malik. So I know we've all been saying, well, what are we going to do about the point guard position, and how are we going to find a point guard with the guys that are available? I wouldn't be surprised if they use Monk or LaVine in a trade to acquire a point guard of the future, a guy that is an established guy in the league, instead of taking some of these guys that are flyers on the wall. Like, I'm sorry, but maybe I'm one of the people that just don't think it's a great fit. But if you add Russell Westbrook to that locker room, like, pass, I'm good. Like, I love his veteran leadership and the type of guy he is, but I've heard murmurs of how he was in Denver this past year, and sometimes it was an interesting locker room with him in there. I don't think that would be a great fit. Marcus Smart, I think, is very old and injury prone. Dennis Schroeder, okay, that's not a bad backup, but I've also been hearing that the reason those reports came out was so he could see if he could get more money from Detroit. And push that envelope. So if you're asking me what the next move is, it's this. They have a logjam at that guard position when it comes to Malik, Devin, Zach, Keon. Don't be surprised. I put Devin Carter in there because I think he plays more off ball than on ball. Do not be surprised if Malik, Devin, or Zach are guys that are very much on the chopping block of guys that can be traded. The other thing that I really want people to keep an eye on, because free agency starts Monday, is what the Kings do with Keon Ellis. That is a big, big decision they have to make in the next 48 to 72 hours. What do we do with that extension? Does he become a restricted free agent, unrestricted free agent? Do they try to negotiate a deal over the next 72 hours? What's their plan for Keon? I know Keon wants to be here. I know Keon would like to get more money, but I don't think he wants, if they extend him and he plays on $2 million this next year, I don't think he's the happiest bunch out of everybody. I think he wants to get paid this offseason. He's proven that he's definitely not only a starter, but a key cog in the Kings, future moving forward. So those are some moving pieces that I would expect the Kings to start looking at over the next 72 hours. But things are going to start heating up, guys, very, very soon.
There's no point in going to commercial, so whatever. We might as well just go to 45 or something. Jake, great stuff. It's going to be an interesting.
It is,
I mean, it all starts Monday.
Yeah.
We got a second round pick coming tonight, and then, well, at least as of right now, we got a second round pick coming tonight, and then free agency starts. Free agency starts Monday.
Yeah. What are you guys most excited about? Let me ask you this: out of everything that's about to happen, what are you most intrigued about? What are you most excited about?
Free agency. I think there are probably some uncomfortable trades ahead. The main one being Malik. I do not think Domantas Sabonis is being traded. I never did, to be clear. Like, there's nothing that's been written that's made like I didn't think Domas was being traded. The one that I've really kind of changed my opinion on in recent weeks was DeMar, and it started with us having the conversation. So, are we sure they have to trade DeMar DeRozan? And then I just started talking myself into it, and now there seems to be some thoughts. Yeah, maybe they're not. And then after the draft last night, I think Malik Monk is being traded, and I think the Kings would love to trade Devin Carter. Whether they will is another story.
That it could mean absolutely nothing. NBA guys work out all the time, but the workout picture it wasn't necessarily DeMar, Zach, and Mason. It was Doug Christie that made me say, interesting. So it could have no impact on anything. But that kind of always stood out to me. Jake, to your question, I'm interested to see, and this goes to what we were going to talk about before Jake joined us. I'm interested to see what this potential trade that they're going to make that I believe is going to include Malik Monk and Devin Carter. What the point guard is that comes back. Because Schroeder, Russell Westbrook, guys like that, I believe, especially when you talk about Russell Westbrook, I believe Scott Perry, if they're targeting those guys, those aren't to be your starting point guards. Those are backup guys.
I agree.
And you're not going to go get a new center. You're probably not going to get a power forward. You're probably not getting a small forward or a shooting guard. That trade package of Malik Monk, Devin Carter, who else, maybe a draft pick, is specifically to go get a big-time point guard, a big-time starting point guard. I don't know who that is. I want to see who that is. I look at Emmanuel quickly. You talk about Toronto. It's a guy that everybody, Scott Perry's talked about, drafted, really, really likes. I really like Emmanuel quickly. Maybe he looks at him as a guy that is a little bit of a hidden gem in this league, where if he gets in the right situation, he can blossom into one of those top point guards in the league. But I think that trade package is for a point guard. It's not for Schroeder. It's like getting Schroeder and Westbrook here is not like they're going to start for us. I think those are depth pieces. I want to see what the move is to go get that point guard.
Spot on, my friend. Spot on. I think when you look at what DeMontis brings to this team, I think you're right on that. I don't think he's moving anywhere. I still think when you look at DeMar, like a trade deadline move still makes a ton of sense. I think Scott values his leadership and his veteran leadership, and I think that's something that Scott has been looking for to have to be a culture setter here. When you look at DeMar, he's been around the block. He knows how to win. I just don't know. My back and forth is, okay, is DeMar happy with being with a team that is trying to just compete for the playoffs compared to a team trying to compete for a championship? Because as he's talked about, he's got maybe 2 to 3 more years left on his just NBA career. Is he okay accepting that he's going to be on a team that's vying for a playoff spot instead of vying for a championship? That's the question you ask heading into the season. That's the hard question you really ask if the Kings aren't really in it at the trade deadline. A lot of good things, though. We have a lot of good problems. The good news is this. You're not the Boston Celtics where you have to trade out of the apron. You got money to move. You got pieces to move. My question now is, Scott, what's your next move? It's the ball is in your court. What are you pivoting to next? And I think we'll find out over the next 72 hours of what that team is thinking over at the Golden One Center.
I love you, Jake, but that was ridiculous. I would very much rather be the Boston Celtics. 1, 2, you don't have to trade to get below the apron. You're choosing to trade to get below the apron.
I don't know. I don't want to pay that. Do you have that money for that luxury tax, friend?
It ain't my money, dog.
They just spent $6 million. They've got it.
It is not my money. I am fine.
Guys, I'm a Knicks
I
fan.
am fine. I got money for the vending machine. I'm good.
Let's remind ourselves where my fandom lies. All right, that will tell you everything you need to know about the Boston Celtics.
Yes, it will. Jake, we appreciate you as always, my friend. Thank you.
Hey, question for you though, real quick. The Damian Barling post workout. What do we do here? Is it a cold plunge? Do we go to the sauna? I'm just looking for some direction here.
Well, the real one would do contrast therapy, where you start in the sauna, then hop in the cold plunge. A real one would go sauna, cold plunge, sauna, cold plunge, sauna, cold plunge for about 15 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
Protein
I'm
shake,
just ready.
plant-based protein shake. You'd be good.
I'm ready. All right. I want to work out with the man, the myth, the legend, Damian Barley. So
Hey, workout start at 5:30 every morning in Rockland. You can come hang out.
Y'all can have
I'll,
that.
I'll pass.
Y'all
I'll
can have
pass.
that.
All right. I'm going to bed.
Give me the
Appreciate you, Jake.